Try to get a decent car. New ones feel like shooting stars. Dream of owning your own place. Mortgage hit you in the face. Numbers so unreal, insane. Makes you wanna scream in pain. Welcome, my friends, to AI Creatives Connect. I hope you're doing awesome today. It's always a pleasure to be with you talking about latest and greatest in the world of AI music. I am hoping that you can hear the sound of my voice, unlike last week, where we experienced some technical difficulties. So if you can hear the sound of my voice, be as kind to let me know. Let me know how you're doing and where you are listening to me from. I'm going to see if I can confirm that my voice is coming across. All right. Seems like we're in business. All right. Well, again, thank you very much, as always, for your support, for coming around and joining me in these journeys. Always a pleasure to be speaking to you about all things artificial intelligence. I got a chat in one of our videos earlier today, and that video made me ponder for a little bit. And it made me really think introspectively about this entire AI music journey. And I'm going to see if I can bring it up so I can read the comment to you. I won't do it justice by just talking about it. I gotta go into the details for you. But the summary is this individual was feeling very, very bad coming from another community online, another creative community in the art, where this individual was being put down, berated, being made small, if you will. People just trying to make this person feel like a low life and worthless, all because this individual wanted to use artificial intelligence for their art. So the comment, it says, let me turn the music down for a second. All right, let's turn the music down. All right. So the comment reads, I left Reddit over this same thing, which is the backlash and the back and forth and the demeaning people and so on. It became tribal and about my side winning or their side winning. AI has issues. The anti-AI side has concerns about everything, a lot of valid concerns. The pro side is generally small indie creators who want to do generative AI. The anti side yells out slop at anything generative AI. I cannot even discuss the nature of art if I mention I developed an increased interest in art and music due to generative AI. I am hurting and demoralized. These are very potent words. Hurting, demoralized. I hope I can connect somewhere like your community. I am wrapping up likely a final playlist called TBD Life in Remotistan for a while. I want to do more, but I'm spent. So I haven't responded to this individual because I got the message and started thinking about my journey in the world of AI music and probably some of you, your journeys. And to be quite honest, it has been rather interesting, is what I'll say. I see one of our friends joined, or Ordis Drain. Good to see you. Thank you for coming on. Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to be talking about some of that tonight. And this is all part of it. So let me walk you through what we're talking about tonight. Tonight we're gonna address the elephant in the room. We're going to talk about toxic creativity. Toxic creativity is a term that came to me as I was going through this. You're trying to be creative, but the environment is toxic. You're trying to build something with a tool and you are being torn down consistently. So if I was going to define toxic creativity, and I will eventually put this on our website, you could say that toxic creativity is when someone stops making art and starts policing everyone else's. Sound familiar? Ah, of course it does. This is what they do all the time. Toxic creativity. Let me go full screen so you can follow along. Toxic creativity is the manifestation of insecurity as hostility. It occurs when a creative individual's identity is so fused with specific tools or traditional methods that they view innovation not as a shift in technology, but as a personal existential threat. In this context, creativity is no longer an act of expression, it becomes a mechanism of exclusion. Don't you see that on a lot of these boards that you go on? It's always berating anyone who remotely uses anything called artificial intelligence. Now, this is important. It does matter because, as I pointed out to you in what I just read, the debate about AI music is not just technical, it's mental. It's a mental health hazard. You've heard people talk about this on other channels, maybe, but toxic creativity drives that constant insult, AI slop, and dehumanizing language. Whether you spent 2 hours, 3 hours, 10 hours on a track, they don't care. They must dehumanize you. That is where they get their power. Personal attacks on creators, exploring new tools. Even if you're Herbie Hancock, they don't care. Didn't you see some of those comments on the Herbie video I put up? Absolutely disrespectful. We have fear based narratives about the death of real music, gatekeeping that prevents beginners from entering the field. They kind of beat the poor beginners down. It reminds me of that story about the monkeys and the bananas that they put up there on a top of a ladder, and the monkeys, they were doing this experiment on them to see how their behavior would evolve without knowing the cause of the behavior. So they started off with one monkey ran up to get the bananas, and they doused the monkey with cold water. The poor thing ran down. And then when the second monkey came into the room and wanted to get the bananas, the first monkey said, "Don't, no, no, don't do it." And that becomes the cycle. Anyone who wants to get into AI music, you hear the echo chamber, "Don't do it, don't do it. You're a sellout." And then the person, they don't even know an A from a C on a keyboard or a guitar, and they just shut up and they're like, "Oh, I guess everyone's saying it's bad. Well, let me join in. It's bad." Then they're just like that second monkey. The second monkey doesn't climb the ladder and doesn't ask questions, doesn't know why he's been told not to climb the ladder. A third monkey comes in, and the first two stop the third monkey from climbing up the ladder. And the cycle continues, right? Bullying people into creative silence, identifying threats that cause mental health crises. This is very important to us. My buddy Beatology, he said, "Hey Phil, you need to make an app for mental health of us creatives, of us musicians," and it's very true. So this is like an entire course, and I'm just going to take you through these from week to week. I might repeat some weeks, but module one is the psychology of creative identity. Module two is the seven phase cycle. I'm going to show you the cycles that a lot of us go through, right? Module three is the stratified resilience strategies. You have to be resilient. You have to fight this ogre because it's after you. It's trying to diminish all your efforts. You got to fight it. And then we'll talk about building generative communities. So the core principle is this: we have the toxic creativity, the fear based communities, and they're all over the place. There's this big echo chamber on Reddit and also on Twitter. They're all over the place. So they're very exclusionary. You're not a real musician. You're not a real musician. They know that you're a musician, but they're just trying to use rage bait, berating to make you stop going down that path because they are freaked out by it. Or scarcity, right? The mindset is your tools threaten my status. A real musician who knows his weight will never feel that any tool could replace their genius. And when I say genius, I'm not saying you have to be a Mozart or a Beethoven. You just have to put in the best version of yourself to learn and apply. The problem with a lot of musicians, they're too scared to go as hard as they need to outdo AI. I will go as hard as I need to outdo AI. And then you have policing. Stop doing that. Stop using AI. There's no creativity. What an oxymoron. Look at your channel name. It's called AI Creatives. There's no creativity using AI and dumb stuff. Dumb stuff. So that is the side on the left. The side on the right is generative creativity, growth based, right? We see the possibility of using AI to create. Inclusionary mindsets would be show me what you made. Haven't you heard so many times? I'm like, post the links. I want to see. That's the community we're trying to build here, right? The abundance mindset. Tools expand up. Oh, more tools. Okay, I like this one. Oh, I'm not really crazy about this one. Oh, but that's a really great tool. I remember when Miami Blues came on here and he said, Phil, have you checked out Toonie? You should check out Toonie. And I was blown away. I checked it out, as opposed to say, no, we have all the tools we need, right? Notley Jano said, Phil, you might want to check out Sonoto. He swore by it. And what did I do? I checked it out. I'm like, oh my goodness, this tool just makes me more beastly on Suno. You get what I'm saying? And then producing, here's what I'm doing. And a shout out to everyone that shared a link at one point or another in the community wall. We're always looking for links. Thank you, friends, for coming through. Let's see what our friends say on the chat. Everyone is using this format for their music. Don't be fooled. Plus, they've been using it. Yep. And they are all going to come clean. Absolutely. Reacting for how you're doing. Very important topic for the whole industry. Absolutely. I've been answering many of those toxic creators, but even when I try to explain to them it's crazy and it's exhausting. And that's why I'm doing this today so that we can all have a game plan and know how to fight this craziness. Yeah, everyone's been using it and quantizing. Absolutely. So when you look at this entire topic, you can either be in a camp that exudes the left, or you could be in a camp that exudes the right. And honestly, folks, I know where I'm gonna be. I want to be with you awesome people who have that posture of discovery, of curiosity. You're all very curious in this community, and that's what I love. And you might wonder, well, Phil, these lives, why why can't we chat in the lives? Because it's for subscribers who are not going to put toxic energy into the chat. I've had a number of YouTube channels, and this is a very sensitive development period for a lot of people. I don't want that toxic energy. I don't need it. And that's why I look for the subscribers, because I know they got skin in the game, and that craziness, they're not going to enact it. And so far, so good. We haven't seen it. And when we do see it, we know what to do with it, because we're trying to build something here. We're not trying to just waste our time. Look, I have 70 and 80-year-olds that are trying to understand this craft. I have 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s, teens. We have the entire spectrum. So I don't need the toxic energy of you folks are just deceiving yourselves. You're stupid or stuff like that. I cannot tell you the ridiculous comments I've just had to block. Just cursing us out, F-bombing us back and forth. And I'm like, yeah, you're not a true artist in the spirit of Herbie Hancock. Who is a mentor, because I've learned from Herbie, and that purity of mind is important. You don't want the toxic energy to get into you, because I tell you, when that toxic energy is dropped and if it hits you, your entire creative process for the day, maybe even for the week, for some of you, it's very discouraging. And I just want to give you my 2 cents. You got to guard your heart, your gate, because the gate is an entry point into your entire psyche, your soul, your spirit, your mind. And when people throw toxic stuff into you as a creative, if you're not being careful, you're almost handicapped. which is why I try my best not to engage with stuff like that. Now, if I'm in a facetious mood and I have the energy and the wherewithal to go back and forth, I might playfully do it, but I have to be in control, right? The moment I lose control of my faculties and I'm getting mad and I'm spiraling, it's time to go. It's time to get off that platform. It's time to leave that community. You get what I'm saying? So I know a lot of you folks, you're trying to blend into the community and learn, but some of these pages full of toxic energy, just ridiculous stuff. Either cursing someone out, someone who just said, "Hey, I made a track," and they're cursing you out. You don't want to be in those places. Trust me. You don't want to be in those places. Okay, hey PT, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Did you get my initial chat earlier? I was talking about your artwork, and because it reminds me of some art. You know, my mom is an artist, and it reminds me of some of the stuff I used to see in her art books. I'm like, I wonder if you were ever an artist in a previous phase. I don't know. Chat into me, PT. Tell me if you've ever done any art, because your videos, I don't know why it has this. It just has a signature, like you do art. But anyway, so we have a lot of awesome people like PT here that are into their craft. They make stuff, they share. Hey, they share stuff, and the stuff they share brings a smile to people. It gives them a lift, and that's what it's all about. Okay, so that's the overview. That's just the intro. I won't go beyond module two because I know that for some of you on the East Coast, it's pretty late. So I won't go too far. But let's jump into module one, the psychology of creative identity. So our objectives are to define toxic creativity and distinguish it from healthy critique, understand identity fusion and its role in creative resistance, recognize the mental health toll on both aggressors and victims, and identify historical patterns of tool based creative conflict. So let's jump into the core definitions. Let me make them bigger on the screen. So, toxic creativity, any of those forums and boards that you've been on, is bullying. Have you ever been on the receiving end of bullying? When you see it happening to someone, you just say, "Yeah, that's bullying going on," and it's disguised as protecting the art or gatekeeping. You're not real musicians. You even have the gall to use AI to even mention Suno. I do real stuff, not stuff that you guys do. You know, you're sinking the entire creative universe by being a partaker. You're a thief. All that stuff. But really, what's going on is stratosphere, right? If anyone can make music, then who am I? And I have to be honest because I went through this for a brief period. And I talk about it how my kid said, "Hey, dad, look at what I created using this tool." And it wasn't even one of the great tools. It wasn't a Suno, it wasn't an Udio, but it sounded quite decent. And I'm like, wow. And I started gatekeeping in my head. I've been asking her to practice a piano for weeks and months, and she didn't do it, but she's got time for this. Now, heaven help me, she's not going to practice her piano ever again. So, so I'm spiraling. I'm going into that stratosphere. One, if she can make this, what hope is there anymore? Where's my job as a producer, as a sequencer, as a programmer? And then I'm also thinking she's never going to learn the music I wanted her to learn. It's gatekeeping. So I went through this for some weeks and honestly months. And it took a while before I came around and started realizing, buddy, you're being a resistor. You're resisting where technology is going. It doesn't always have to be, "Oh, I want to do it on Pro Tools. I want to do it in my DAW." It doesn't always have to be that. There was no DAW like 30 years ago, right? Or 40 years ago. Let's say 40 years ago, there was no DAW. We did things the laborious way. But the moment there was a DAW, you just take your mouse and you just, and you've copied the entire song. And that used to be the Antichrist in the music community. That was the sacrilege. That was, if you use that, you are you're killing the art form. And then it was the drum machine before that, and then it was a guitar before that, and so on and so forth. So I started realizing, yeah, something needs to give. I need to change. So I stopped. I saw one influencer sharing how she creates songs and shares songs. And I just felt so stupid. You don't even know anything she's talking about. And she was talking about Suno. And I had heard Rick Beato mention Suno, but I hadn't looked into it. The irony is that someone came up to Rick a few weeks back when he was in Europe and said, "Hey, I learned about Suno because of you." But Rick has smelled the coffee. For those of you who follow his channel, he knows, okay, this is a direction. And honestly, I ain't gonna police nobody. I ain't gonna gatekeep nobody. I'm fine with it. Why do I need to concern myself with how person X, Y, or Z is creating their music? The same way I couldn't care less what they're doing in their bedrooms. I don't care. Do whatever you like. I will do whatever I want to do to create. I don't care whatever you're doing. And I think it should be treated the same way. As long as no one's getting hurt, no one's, doing a crazy, uh, what do you call it? Diddy on anyone. You get what I'm saying? I'm fine. As long as no one's killing anyone, breaking the law, beating people over the head, imprisoning people. You get what I'm saying? I'm fine with that stuff. So, however you want to create, good. As long as you're not stealing, as long as you're not killing, as long as you're not abusing someone, as long as you're not trafficking and doing crazy stuff. That's just how I see it. But it's weird when people take it upon themselves to want to strong arm you and force you into a corner and press you down and make you feel dehumanized. That I have trouble with it. And you can tell I'm quite passionate about it because at the end of the day, it's choices. We live in a free world. Even in some of the most restrictive countries, I very much doubt, very, very highly doubt, that they are going to restrict the creativity that people want to engage in by saying you can't create with AI. How back that would be the worst of the worst. Anyway, you kind of get where I'm going with this. All right. So, coercion, stop using AI or you're a sellout, or shaming others' methods rather than improving their own craft. On this channel, I can't count how many times I've received the ignorant comment about, well, why are you creating with AI? After all, you're a talented musician, you are a sellout, and nonsense like that. So let's talk about the historical context. It's not new. Photography, 1839, the painters called it the death of real art. Electric guitar, not a real instrument. We have entire genres that rest very heavily on the electric guitar, don't we? Drum machines, also genres that rest very heavily on drum machines. Digital art. In the 90s, they said, oh, it's just clicking buttons. Photoshop artist. That's meant to be a slight, by the way. Oh, you Photoshop artist. Auto tune. You auto tune singer. Oh, well, I guess T Pain kind of redefined that. Because when you actually hear T Pain sing, that guy can sing, but he chooses to use auto tune. And it became a stamp, a mark of his craft. But before that, it received a lot of backlash. You would be pretty much unceremoniously abused. Now, there's different uses of autotune, but he made the extreme use of autotune an art form. I got to credit him for that. AI music is now destroying creativity itself. You see, and the pattern repeats because the psychology repeats. It's never about the tool. Let's talk about the identity fusion model. When a person's sense of self becomes inseparable from a specific skill, tool, or method, when that tool is threatened, they experience it as a threat to their very existence. So we have a lot of Pro Tools people, the DAW family. You're not using a DAW, you're using Suno, right? So the health identities, I am an expressive artist who uses various tools, which is a healthy identity. But the fused identity, when you're becoming like what? Spider-Man fused to his costume. I am my technical skill. Without it, I am nothing. That is a very bad way of thinking, poor way of thinking. And I know at first I saw myself like that. What am I going to do when everyone can create with AI? I had to get off my high horse and stop looking at people and look more introspectively. Are you trying to be the best version of yourself? Yeah. Then that's all that matters. Forget the rest. Focus on yourself. Let's talk about the in group and the out group dynamic. The in group, right? The traditionalists, they use shame. The word slop is so comical how it has made its way to mainstream, front and center. Everything created by AI is AI slop now to a lot of people. Not to everyone, but to a lot of people. They call you fake to enforce group cohesion and status. The out group, innovators and AI users, they become the dehumanized target to alleviate the in group's anxiety. And it creates a self reinforcing cycle where attacking others gives them some temporal relief. That's why they're doing it. Now, this is the very sad part. And I really hope we don't get to hear any stories that are of the extreme variety because it could really take its toll on people, you know. I shared a story earlier this week about Teddy Swims and how he's received a lot of backlash because he came clean and said, okay, I use AI in my music. This is what I do. This I use this to get some ideas and I've used this to replace some words. And but they, the trolls came out for him. And stuff like that could cause real depression, I'm telling you. Now, for the aggressor, the gatekeeper, engaging in toxic creativity is a symptom of rigidity. I look at people like Jimmy Jam, I look at people like Herbie Hancock, I look at Jordan Rudess, I look at Dallas Austin, and I'm like, if these icons could be accepting of the fact that AI is a tool and people should be curious, have a choice, look into it, I say, then what is everyone else up in arms about? So we have creative stagnation, energy spent destroying others. You're stealing from your own art if you're engaging in that. We have the control fallacy, the anxiety inducing belief that they can stop technological progress through bullying. What helped me come up with this? I started asking myself, what are people really looking for when they do this? What are they looking to do? And I felt, okay, they want control. Misery loves company. That's really it. You see, then we have the bitterness feedback loop. Watching the enemy succeed despite the attacks just makes them stew in resentment. Why should he get on the charts with a, I'll be polite, I won't say the word, with an infernal AI track? And then we have the identity lock in, which is the saddest part of all. They cannot exit the loop because admitting that they were wrong means that they're admitting to wasting years. So they dig their heels in and they refuse. Now, for the victim, a lot of you guys and girls, the innovators, you are the target of the toxic creativity. And at a point, you might have imposter syndrome, the imposter phenomenon, where you are internalizing the fake musician narrative despite producing what is obviously great art. Or you might have creative paralysis, the fear of sharing work due to anticipated hostility. Or you might have the self doubt cascade, questioning your own legitimacy and the right to create. You might also have community isolation. You find yourself withdrawing from the spaces that should be supportive. And that's why we have AI Creatives Connect, because we want people to support each other and not to feel distanced. The debate, my friends, is not merely technical, it's a mental health hazard. for everyone involved. If you go through Reddit threads or look at Twitter feuds or YouTube comments, you can very quickly identify toxic creativity patterns. It's very draining, even though you're not the subject of the attack. I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but I'm just winded sometimes. I'm like, where do you even start? When you have a wall from top to bottom of ignorant hate. It's all hate. It's not constructive criticism, it's hate, you know. But ask yourself, where am I on the spectrum? You know, am I one of those who is making life hell for people? Or what tool made you feel threatened in your creative journey? Yeah, AI once upon a time, I'll be the poster child. I'll tell you I felt threatened once, but not anymore. And just research historical examples, they're all over the place. You can ask yourself, what does your creative identity rest on? My creative identity does not rest on tools at all. And I'm glad that this whole AI movement has happened because I'm discovering it's not about the tool, it's about what resides on the inside, your imagination, your ability to experiment. That's where I found my creative identity. Because with or without AI, I will have the ideas I have. And you folks need to celebrate your ideas as well. Don't take them lightly. So, what would happen if Suno went away? If Warner next year or UMG or Sony said, well, that's it, kids. We're only making this available to our artists. What would you do? And have I ever engaged in gatekeeping behavior? I gave you the example of how I felt. Well, now she's not going to practice anymore. Those are all gatekeeping ideas. And what am I most afraid of losing? Depending on which side you are, ask those questions. Ask those questions. PG said, I follow Rick. He's decided that he realizes AI is here to stay. That's true. Absolutely. Yep. Yep. It's here to stay. So, over the past number of minutes, we've been going pretty hard into this world of, you know, toxic creativity because it's a topic that we must talk about. Now, I've shared with you the lay of the land. Now we're going a little bit further because I've got to show you the loop itself. So let me bring up the loop and I'll explain what is going on in the loop. And this might help. Okay, let's do this. Let me bring up another part of the screen so we can go introspectively into it. So we have the side of the toxic people. And I would advise you, look, if you had 2 minutes left with me on this call tonight, my advice to you would be get out from those communities where there's toxicity. They're not helping you. You being in that community, you're at risk. Come out of there, go to a community where you are welcomed, not threatened, where your mental health is not at risk, where there's real community. AI creatives connect. No one's ever going to make you feel why using AI. Why are you using AI to that degree? That degree is not allowed. No, not here. We don't have a place for that at all. Okay. So, this whole toxic journey starts with a trigger phase. And phase zero is where there's a disruption like AI, right? Disruption event, there's a new tool, or there's a new artist doing things in a different way, or there's an industry shift. What happens is it creates a gap between what I know and what is happening. And we finally get to a fork in the road. Are you so fearful that you're going to abandon the ship? Or are you going to be curious and see it as an opportunity? So, this fork in the road, we'll talk about this for some weeks to come, but let me give you the lay of the land, high level overview. Number one, in this phase, in the toxic loop, this is what we call the identity threat. This is where AI, the tool, is seen as an eraser. It's going to erase everything that you've ever worked for, right? The psychology is that if a machine or a beginner can do what I do, then I have no value. And the result is panic and very, very defensive rigidity to the point of ridiculousness in some instances. Phase two is what I call the externalization, blame shifted outward. The enemy has to be defined. And in this case, whether it is AI in general, whether it is Suno, whether it is Udio, there has to be that pinpointing. So to feel inadequate, the ego shifts the conflict outward. The narrative is the problem isn't that I'm afraid of change. The problem is that they are thieves or they are cheating or they are unethical or they are fake. And the end result of phase two is the enemy is defined. So anytime you display your art, whether you are into uh, physical art or visual art, they see that as, yeah, that's the enemy. You are the enemy. Your art is the enemy. The tool you're using is the enemy, is all lumped. The enemy is defined. Phase three in this very destructive cycle is the crusade. And this can be so tiresome. This can be so tiresome. I've seen examples of this even in our community where people are policing you or anyone and they make it their day job to police, to shame. And you're like, wait a minute, I just saw this person on that other channel. They're here as well. Yeah, because it's a full time job. The creator, instead of focusing on creating, they engage in policing, they engage in enforcing, they leave mean comments, they quote, tweet to shame, right? They quote you or they tweet, look at what this person said, to gatekeep. And the action is they mock whatever you do. They call it slop. Whether you spend 1 minute or 1 day or one you could spend a whole year on a track. They don't care. It's slop. They're demanding real instruments. They remind me of babies in a nursery. We want real instruments, real instruments. We want real keyboards. We want real doors. That is slop. How dare you? How dare you? Some of them get all self righteous. How dare you call yourself a musician? And what is the result? It's a rush of adrenaline and a feeling of superiority. They thrive on it. This is what makes them feel good, or so they think, right? The next thing that we have here is the proverbial false consensus. And there's a lot of these online. There's a lot of these parroting off each other, the false consensus echo chamber. We see it all over the place. One person says it, the next person says it. They seek validation from other fearful creators. And it's sad to say that there are a lot of channels that are camouflaged as AI music channels, but they're not AI music, they're AI against. Because when you go all up in the comments and the videos, it's all about tearing down AI. And it's like the vultures come to harvest. The vultures just go in there and that's where they get their validation, you know. And the dynamic is we are the real musicians. Yeah, we're the real musicians. Now, the end result of that is just going to be group polarization, like our user who sent in the message that catalyzed this entire video. He was talking about the polarization on the Reddit group, and the toxicity is reinforced as a virtue. We're protecting the art. Okay. Now, what happens when you let out all that negative energy? Because all the energy is spent policing others, their own creative output slows. This is the sad part they don't even realize. And I often question, how can you be a true creative and go about this? There's no way pure material is going to come from you. It's hard to create when you're in that state. And I'll just be honest with you folks, because I don't want you to think that I am immune to all of these attacks. No, I am not immune to all these attacks. There was one night, and I can't remember the exact date, but it was some months back. But because of the toxicity and the back and forth in you just trying to put things right, you just realize you are winded and spent. And I remember just calling it a day. I remember just saying, that's it. I don't have any creative energy left. Because if you're using all your creative energy to fight this kind of behavior in a community, like your Samson fighting the Philistines, there's just no way. You're going to get winded quick. Just when you think you've taken care of one, two more sprout up from left field. It's very energy draining. So just be aware, because I've experienced this. You experience a loss of skill and creative joy because everything happens up here in the mind. Okay? Phase six, bitterness and resentment towards others' success. If you are in this toxic loop, you will see the enemy as an AI user. So anyone who says, oh, Suno is great, you immediately an enemy. They see you as the enemy. And when they see you succeed, like getting your material online, or despite all the bullying, it just causes this cognitive dissonance, and they're asking the question, why are they winning with trash while I suffer, while I have less of a paycheck? Because they've told themselves, they've made you the enemy, and the resentment deepens, and it's very dangerous. This is the same kind of craziness that causes people to do weird, mad stuff. And my recommendation to anyone going down this path is, stop for your own sake before it becomes such that it's eating you alive. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Phase seven is the worst of all. And I feel, unfortunately, there are many zombies. Zombie mindset. It's a radicalization. Nothing you say is going in. They lock in. And to protect their ego from the reality of stagnation, they double down even more than before. The toxicity, that becomes their identity at that point. And they got a trap because they cannot leave the loop. Because if they try to leave the loop, admitting that they were wrong means that they're finally conceding to you, the enemy. They are acknowledging that they wasted all their years being angry instead of being creative. This is the worst of all. So when you get to those crossroads with AI, you can either go down this loop, or you can have a detour, as I did. And I just call it the liberation loop. The liberation loop starts off with phase one, and I kind of piddle paddled, dilly dallied until I got to phase one, and I'm like, okay, how does it work? How does it even work? How can it do what I've been doing almost like all my life? Over 30 years I've been doing this stuff. How does this ridiculous tool do it? I want to know. Can it, and then I started getting really curious. I started trying to break the system at a point. I didn't just get curious. I wanted to put money down. It can never do what I've done for the past 30 years. So I got into a safe harbor private experimentation. And this creator probably reach out to her one day and say, "Do you know you saved my career?" Do you know? Because seeing what she, a non musician, said, I didn't even listen to her tracks. She just said, "Well, I've come up with this song and I'm going to put it on DistroKid." And I'm like, what? I wasn't even using DistroKid at that time. She said, "Well, like the AI music, well, DistroKid, they allow you to distribute on that and blah, blah, blah." And she wrote the words and she put music to it with AI. I'm like, you're in finance. There's no way, there's no way you know as much as I do in music. So I still had that chip on the shoulder thinking I knew it all until I found Suno and said, "Yeah, what's that thing Rick was talking about?" And then I listened. What's that? What's the other one? And I haven't gone into Murica because I think Rick talked about Murica as well. So thank heavens I chose Suno and not Udio, even though I'd heard of Udio eventually. But I went the Suno route, and that's when I started experimenting. So my phase two was pretty interesting. I tried to break the system, and then reality set in. I started getting all this stupid, annoying comments and backlash. You're selling your soul. You're supposed to be a real musician. Why are you dabbling into these are toys, Phil. These are toys. But I was battle ready. I was battle ready. So I refused the toxicity. I said a few colorful words in my head. I didn't say them out. But I took the Miles Davis route. And Miles Davis, he would say, music is like food. You eat the part you like, you leave the part you don't. And I said, this whole thing is just Miles Davis all over. Yeah, Miles, I'm gonna take the part I like, and I'm gonna ignore the people who are against progress. Just like people were demonizing Miles for using the synthesizer and using electronics in his work. Can you imagine Keith Jarrett playing an electronic instrument for Miles Davis? And ever since that time, we never really saw Keith do that. But Keith did go to that dark side. He did go into the electronic world. There's rumor also has it that McCoy Tyner would, but nah, he loved his piano, and that's okay. It's okay, but he was curious. So if you look at the greats, Oscar Peterson. I don't know if you've seen Oscar Peterson playing with those electronics in that studio of his back in the 80s. And I'm like, who am I? If the great could play with this technology, yeah. So I made up my mind and I refused phase four. Phase five, I started integrating and hybridizing. I created a video. If you go way back into the old videos on this channel, for those of you who don't know, my journey in AI music just started in earnest in July. My first AI track was somewhere in April. I didn't really dabble much into that until around July. This channel had been a dormant YouTube account I really did nothing with. So this whole journey and acceleration has just been July, August, September, October, November. This channel got on the map very, very quickly. And I realized why, because a lot of my peers are too busy trying to be the purist who does not dabble into the dark side. And I'm like, well, I need to go to the dark side. That's what I'm going to do. I don't care. I don't care. I have to find out what's on the other side of the rainbow. So I did. And I became a hybrid. I became a shapeshifter. I became a shapeshifter. And that took me into phase six. I started finding like minds. DJ Stealth was our first ever person to be interviewed on this channel. And it was so liberating to hear a like mind in the same journey. Because a lot of the greats, Stealth did stuff on the Chronic from Dre in the early 2000s, Dr. Dre. And then we have other folks here like Phoenix Benjamin, who's been into the world of rock and back, and he's embracing of the technologies. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a good gathering to be in. If you are having trouble with wherever you were in your previous community and you're receiving backlash and they're trying to make you feel less than human, less than a musician, this is the place for you. I need you to smash that like button real quick. I need you to subscribe. Look, the subscribers, look, I just want to say, subscribers, you are the real deal. Members, you are the wind under the wings of this channel. And as a result of your dedication and your community, we have been able to put out so many additional free tools, everything from drum machines to prompters to virtual keyboards to instruments that I lack names to even describe them. There's one that I call a chord helper. You can play a C major, a C minor, a C diminished with a touch of a button. And you can go onto all of the keys. It's on philc.net if you haven't already checked it out. I've been able to create a range of keyboards, entire playgrounds, which our members are able to get into and prompt. And a shout out to Antonio for that request. As a result of many of the requests, Antonio, Mr. As a result of Beatology's requests, I've created a lot of tools. Some of them are out there on philc.net for free. So I want to give a shout out to all of our awesome members. Hey, KP, thank you for coming in. It is late on the East Coast. It's late out there in Canada. I know. Yeah. But I appreciate you coming through. And, KP, I'm curious to know your story about toxic creativity because many of the forums they camouflage as a creative place, but when you go in there, all they're doing is crucifying and stoning, the so-called creative people using AI. So over the past number of minutes, we've been journeying through the seven steps in either the negative loop, the doom and gloom loop, or the do you want to be in the liberation loop? And yes, you are in the liberation loop. So, community alignment and growth, that's really what we're looking into here. So, just to backtrack real quick, phase one, the cognitive loop here, this cognitive phase, it can be a little bit scary at first, but instead of feeling threatened, you now begin to feel empowered by your investigation. And you begin learning, you're like, wow. And I learned so much sooner in month one, it was ridiculous. By the time I was done learning, because I came in as a skeptic. You got to remember how I came in. My kid showed me what she'd done, and I came in as a skeptic, and I'm like, yeah, right. AI, my big toe. Let me see what AI can do. AI cannot do this, and soon I would pass the test. And I'll say AI can't do that, and soon I would pass the test. And then I gave it the ultimate test. I gave it one of the craziest tests of all. I give it about six key changes and I loaded it with full on harmony, like crazy, mind boggling harmony. Mind boggling harmony. The type of harmony that will make you scratch your head. Not on the level of my guys at Take Six, but somewhere tending towards that direction. I couldn't believe it. Suno understood where I was going. It was following me. I'm like, this is unreal. At that point, I think I became a believer that, okay, you can vibe with me, Suno. You can vibe with me. And honestly, Suno is the only tool that I've been able to get to do things that were in my head. It's been able to do them. I had an idea of trap, jazz, and a cappella. And I fused them together, and the result was sick. You can listen to it on the Phil the Creator if you type that in into YouTube and you bring up Neo Grit Trap Jazz. I was beside myself in shock and awe all at the same time. And I know some of you have experienced that. So finally, my friends, the last phase that I got to, generative flow, evolution, expansion. Personally, the music that I create, it costs a lot of money. I remember, in the early days of being a producer, I will make money and spend the money right back on my own stuff. I'll make money from a production, I'll throw it down in the studio. I was a session junkie. Sometimes they had to drive me out of the studios because after working with an artist, I want to go in and do my own stuff. I want to create. And it costs money. And I was just bankrolling my studio habit. The sad thing is, you have a studio habit and there's nothing left at the end of the day because you're really trying to get that next hit and you end up spending so much money. But with Suno, don't get me wrong, I have no dealings with Suno. I don't work for them. They don't know me. I don't know them. I know their tool. But I did the math. It's very quick. Okay, $1,000 for a day versus $20 for a month. I did the math and it made sense. So I got to phase seven, and that's where I am now. I feel very comfortable having seen what Suno can do, and I'm hopeful. I don't care what WMG has going with them. I don't care what Mr. Grange is going to come up with. All due respect, I don't care what Sony is going to come up with. Why is that? Because I've seen the capability, I've seen the possibilities. Suno has opened my own mind to realizing a lot of my ideas were possible. I've released stuff that was in the closet for 35 years. I've released some tracks that were, and I'm not just experimenting, I am creating and releasing my stories. Just the other week, I was working on some Christmas stuff and I created all sorts of colorful tracks talking about the craziness of Christmas, which is always fun for those of you who always get asked, well, what are you going to get me this Christmas from the younger crowd? I wrote a song about that. I wrote a song about meeting a gunman in an alleyway with massive submachine gun. It's escape by the skin of my teeth and many other stories like that. But Suno has given me an ability to very quickly bring those songs together and, as it were, have my virtual band around me to just take my idea and make it fly. Suno didn't have the idea. You see, this is where a lot of the skeptics get it wrong. Suno didn't have the idea. I had the idea. Without me, there's no song. You understand? So I encourage you to be bold and firm and resolute when the crazy, rabid naysayers come out of the woodworks like the living dead. Give me a break. That's what they're like. But when they come out like that to try to drag you down, like a remake of Michael Jackson's Thriller, you need to say, I ain't going. I ain't. You're not gonna take me alive. No, I ain't going. I'm not gonna buy it. And just cut it off. Just leave. You don't have anything to prove because you might think you can win them by your dialogue. To you, it's dialogue, but to them, it's all out war, and they're never gonna accept that you were right. Anyway, this is a liberation loop, my friends. I highly encourage you to stay liberated. You have choices, you have options. You can choose to be creative. You can choose to have your own idea of what is ethical from your viewpoint. It doesn't have to meet their standards. Who cares? As long as it meets your standards and what you're doing is in line with the law, you're good to go. And that's the story. Oh dear. KP says, always bold and firm here. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, my friends, that is the end of today's episode. Over the past number of minutes, we've been talking about that dark alley that exists on Reddit. Just comb through Reddit. They're there like the living dead. My goodness, talk about the night of the dead. They're inducing panic in you, they're threats. They're always looking at what others are doing wrong. They're shaming, the gatekeeping, they're seeking validation for anger. The humor of it is sometimes you go to the channel and you're like, my dear, what have you created? You ain't got a single stinking video, and you're up in arms about someone who is trying their best to put out content. You get what I'm saying? They don't even have a single video. Not one. And the outcome that you normally get from these places is creative paralysis, and the identity is, I'm a protector, I'm a guardian of the tradition. You're killing the art form, Phil. You sold your soul. I told my daughter that once. She almost fell off her seat from laughter. Okay. The liberation loop on the flip side, curiosity, questioning, questioning. It's good to be curious. Look into various tools. Someone said, Phil, check out Moises. I did. Someone said, Phil, check out Kit's AI. I did. Someone said, Phil, check out Producer AI. I did. Someone said, Phil, check out, what's the new one? Beats, Open Beats. And I was met with a wall, a paywall. I said, sorry, not today. But I'm generally open, right, to anything that is suggested. So anyway, what you get from the liberation loop is curiosity. What can I do differently? Experimenting and learning, seeking allies for growth. We got so many allies on this channel. Creative expansion, and the evolving artist. And I really hope that you folks, as you continue your journey, you're able to take your work and you're able to share your truth. That's what it's all about. For some of us, it just makes us happy. That's all we want, just to be happy. We're not looking to share it outside of like what we are enjoying for ourselves. But some of you know that you need to share your gift and talent with the world. I know a lot of the backlashes out there say, that's Solomon Ray. You might be number one on the charts, but there ain't no spirit in your work. At least he shared his truth. He shared his truth. And someone said that Zania Monet should be ashamed of herself. She can't even sing. And she's putting all this work out like she is the singer. Look, next week, I'm going to break down for you the four levels. We have the pros, we have the intermediate, we have the beginner, and we have the celebrities. If you are a celebrity, I know many of you are in the closet, you're hiding. You don't want people to know that you're really an AI fan. I'm going to teach you next week what to do, how to establish your identity in this creative age. Because many of you are hiding. Now, I give full accolades to Teddy Swims, but a lot of you celebrities, you're hiding because you don't want the backlash. You're ducking and diving. I'm going to teach you next week what to do. I'm going to teach you. KP says we need new laws. Absolutely. We need new laws, language, and humility. The future's collaborative. That's very true, not combative. Let music breathe. KP is a poster child for calm. She's always calm. KP, we need more of your philosophies. Thank you for sharing that. That is truly awesome. But now is a great time for us to share anything that we want. If there are any tracks that you want to drop in the chat for people to go listen to, or if there are any questions about anything, now's a perfect opportunity because we are done with pretty much with the levels. Next week, I'm going to be breaking down how each level, whether you're pro, you're celebrity, you're a beginner, I'm going to be teaching you how to cope, how to navigate. Because this is it's a big topic, and a lot of people are just getting slain on the Reddits. They're just getting eaten up by the javelina out there. Javelina, dangerous people. You got to protect your gate from the dangerous people. They're out for blood, for the kill. You gotta beware of them. For those of you who are new to the channel and you didn't know this prior, I want to show you the free stuff that is out there to help your journey. On philc.net, we have got a number of tools. I want to just talk about them very quickly. We have the 2026 AI Survival Coach. So if you want to know how to survive as an AI musician, or maybe you just call yourself a musician, and I agree. You don't want to be branded like I'm just AI. No, you're a musician, period, right? But anyway, this helps the algorithm. You can go in here and read this. And if you want some coaching, just click on this, log in to your Google account, and then it's going to come up with my Resilient AI Musician Survival Guide. You got to select your genre. So let's say I'm into Latin music, and let's say I'm an established artist. Let's say I use Suno, maybe a bit of Landa, and I want my survival instructions. I'll just click on that, logged into Google, and it's going to use your own API key that every Google user has. It's going to find it and it's going to use it to generate this. If you're not logged into Google, it won't work. So, based on who I said I was and what style of music I'm into, this tool gives you, based on the most recent news concerning WMG, Suno, UMG, Sony, it's going to keep giving you updates how to position yourself for success in 2026. So, that's the first tool over there. We also have the music studio, and this is where we have the free drum machine. Just click initialize audio and you can go in there and create beats. And we also have the piano and the glider. And you can create an entire track and download it. You can record, download it, go nuts on there. Okay. All right. Next thing we have here is the Idea Lab. This is the idea pad that I'm developing. It's meant to be a 4-track audio and it's in its beta state. I'm still working it, but you could either play a track solo or you could record the track and then play it back, adjust the levels, and you can also download the mix. I'm still working on this. All this stuff, no login, it's just free to help move music forward. This is a prompt list of all the prompts, that in the very beginning, this is how, a lot of folks on the channel were creating until I started getting a lot of questions for apps like the environment generator. And this environment generator, again, it helps you generate various genres. We have a supersizer, thanks to Beatology who requested it. He wanted subgenres. So as a result of his request, I built this one. And then down here, we have a vocal prompt designer. If you really want to go a little bit more introspectively into your vocals, you can use this to prompt the style of your vocals, just the vocals. And you would copy this and add it to whatever prompts you have in Suno. One of my favorites that I've actually used to create stuff that I've demoed on this channel and is up there on Spotify is the World Music Generator. So if you can conceive the idea, maybe you want some from Europe, you want some Greek music, you want what's it called, baglama, or whatever style you want. You choose whatever you want, and boom, prompt. Now, a lot of the trolls would say that's lazy. Must you have a prompt? Must you use AI to prompt AI? And I just find it so comical. You want to control everything everybody does? Are you Idi Amin from Africa? Who are you? You try to control everyone. My goodness. Anyway, it's comedic when people judge you for creating a tool to help the layman. And honestly, it's not just the layman; it's also me. I eat what I kill. I kill this thing, and I'm eating it. I'm using it to create my own music. Why are you bothered? It's so comical when I get these judgments. Can't people do anything in their lives using AI to prompt AI? And it's so beneath them and so disgusting, but it's comical. Anyway, over here, I have the virtual piano. You can just activate it and you can play. If you're on the road and you need to know what key you're on, just go to this website. I also have the chord helper, and this helps you play full chords, just the touch of a button. Touch of a button, and you got your C major, your E minor, and you can choose what key you're on because these are all the diatonic chords. And then we have the minor chords. Could be very helpful. And there's so many other bits and pieces on here, but I won't go into all of that. But go to the website, philc.net, phillc.net. Check out what we've got on there. Play around with it. I've also got videos if you want to learn about music, the theory, um, the 145, the major scales and all the keys, minor scales, all that stuff. It's here. Okay. Alrighty then. Well, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who came through. We had our friend Audis Drain come through in the very beginning. Reacting for always good to see you on there. And then we had PT come in and KP. So I know, unfortunately, we can't always meet as early as I would have liked, but a meeting at this time is better than none at all. Okay, so thank you all very much. I appreciate you. And if you have any ideas or questions, always feel free to chat them in. Have a lovely rest of your night. Talk to you soon. Pressure puts us on the shelf. Yeah, a vicious circle round we fall. Lord have mercy, help us all. Let it be world, crazy world, crazy world, crazy world. Every corner, flags unfurled. Same old story, same old blues. Struggle wearing out our shoes. Still the struggle carries on. Break of night to crack of dawn. Every day's a hustle. Hustle after hustling, trying to keep my mind at peace while life keeps juggling. Every day's a hustle. Every day's a hustle after hustling, trying to keep my mind at peace while life keeps juggling. Two.
Give thanks for the little things, the tiny gifts that each day brings. Hold your ground, stay true and fast. Keep your hope, make your joy last. Stay positive when storms turn bad. When life tries hard to make you mad. Broke, busted, feeling low. Still thank God and let it flow. Stay strong in your faith. Stay steady, stay resolute. Know He'll always walk beside you, guide your steps and see you through. No matter what the days may do, rest assured He's holding you. Oh yes, He's holding you. Everything you need He'll provide. He tends a sparrow by His side. If He can guard the smallest wing, what about you, His precious thing? If He can keep the sparrow safe and free, then surely He keeps watch over me. Eyes on the sparrow every day, and on me in every way. That's how I'm gonna speak and believe. That's how I'm thinking, I won't be deceived. I won't let negativity tear me down, or crazy thoughts spin me around. A tiny spark of faith will still inspire. He's always first man in the fire. Always been the mighty one, faithful as the rising sun. And that's what I'll continue to do. Trust Him fully, believe Him true, knowing He'll come through for me. That's my story faithfully. Oh. Stay strong in your faith. Stay steady, stay resolute. Know He'll always walk beside you, guide your steps and see you through. No matter what the days may do, rest assured He's holding you. Oh yes, He's holding you. Oh yes, He's holding you. Stay strong in your faith. Stay steady, stay resolute. Know He'll always walk beside you, guide your steps and see you through. No matter what the days may do, rest assured He's holding you. Oh yes, He's holding you.
There's so much in this life to fear, so many worries whisper near, but you got to choose and take your stand. Know when to push, know when to let it land. Cause some things shift and some stay fixed. Some doors open, some stay brick. Some roads bend and some stay straight. No matter how hard you push the gate, until one day